Welcome back to Reality Transurfing, navigating the multivariant world. Today, we're examining one of Zelland's most counterintuitive principles, how overattachment to outcomes creates energy imbalances that block manifestation. This paradox of importance reveals why we often repel what we most desperately desire, a phenomenon supported by fascinating research in psychology and performance studies. In transurfing, importance refers to the excessive significance we assign to specific outcomes. When we elevate something's importance, we create what Zelland calls excess potential, an energetic imbalance in the field of variations. This imbalance generates a countervailing force that actively works against our desires, explaining why we often struggle most with the things we care about most intensely. This isn't merely metaphysical speculation. Daniel Wegner's research on ironic mental processes demonstrates that attempting to control thoughts paradoxically increases their occurrence. His landmark 1994 studies showed that subjects instructed not to think about white bears experienced significantly more white bear thoughts than control groups. The precise mental mechanism Zelland describes when explaining why obsessive focus creates resistance. Performance anxiety research provides further evidence. Studies consistently show that concern about performance dramatically impairs execution. Athletes experiencing evaluation anxiety show 17-21% decreased motor accuracy, while musicians display reduced technical proficiency under performance pressure. This empirical data confirms Zelland's assertion that importance creates the very resistance that prevents desired outcomes, a counterintuitive principle with profound implications for goal achievement. Consider this real-world example. In 2025, an author spent years struggling to publish their novel, placing enormous importance on securing a deal with specific prestigious publishers. Each rejection felt devastating, creating a cycle of increasing desperation that paradoxically drove publishers away. From a transurfing perspective, this created classic excess potential, an energetic imbalance manifesting as consistent rejection. After learning transurfing principles, the author implemented a radical approach. Rather than abandoning the goal, they continued submission efforts while emotionally detaching from results. They maintained the action component while reducing the energetic grip, writing in their journal. Whether this particular novel gets published doesn't define my worth as a writer. I'll keep creating regardless. This internal shift represented classic importance reduction. Within 3 months of the shift, 3 publishers expressed interest, including one that had previously rejected the manuscript. From a psychological perspective, reduced importance allowed the author to present work more confidently and respond to feedback more constructively. From a transurfing perspective, balancing excess potential removed the energetic resistance blocking manifestation, illustrating perfectly how reduced importance paradoxically facilitates desired outcomes. The importance paradox extends far beyond anecdotal evidence. Research on paradoxical intention in clinical psychology confirms that deliberately trying not to achieve a goal often facilitates achievement. Studies on insomnia show that patients instructed to try staying awake actually fall asleep faster than those trying to sleep, while anxiety patients who lean into feared sensations experience faster symptom reduction than those fighting against anxiety. Athletic performance research reveals striking evidence for choking under pressure. A meta-analysis of 65 studies found that performance decreases by 12-15% when outcomes are framed as highly important, with the effect most pronounced in precision-based activities. Brain imaging shows increased activation in conscious control regions during choking episodes, disrupting automatic execution pathways. Precisely the mechanism Zelland describes when explaining importance's interfering effects. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's research on flow states provides the positive counterpart. His studies demonstrate that peak performance emerges when people are fully engaged but paradoxically unconcerned with outcomes. Flow participants report effortless attention and absence of worry about failure, precisely the reduced importance state that transurfing prescribes. This research establishes that detachment from outcomes isn't apathy, but rather the optimal state for performance and creativity. Let's examine a highly relatable scenario. A single person desperately wants a relationship, creating what transurfing calls excess potential around dating. Every interaction becomes high stakes, with mounting anxiety about impression management and outcome control. This anxious energy is perceptible to potential partners, who sense an imbalanced dynamic where too much rides on simple interactions. Relationship research confirms this dynamic. Studies show that individuals displaying anxious attachment behaviors during early dating stages are rated as less attractive than secure communicators. Perception researchers found that observers can detect desperation cues through subtle behavioral indicators, including speech rate variations, elevated vocal pitch, and frequency of validation-seeking questions, explaining why excess potential is indeed perceivable to others. After applying transurfing's concept of reduced importance, our subject shifts focus to enjoying present interactions without attachment to relationship outcomes. By genuinely engaging with people while releasing the need for specific results, their energy transforms. Research on authentic self-presentation shows this balanced state naturally attracts compatible partners, as it enables genuine connection rather than strategic performance, demonstrating how reduced importance facilitates organic relationship development. Transurfing offers practical techniques for importance reduction without abandoning goals. The first is the alternatives method, mentally exploring both worst and best possible outcomes, then finding acceptable paths through both scenarios. This deactivates the amygdala's threat response by creating psychological preparation for all possibilities, diminishing the desperation that creates excess potential. Research on defensive pessimism validates this approach. Studies show that individuals who mentally rehearse negative outcomes alongside positive ones demonstrate 23% lower performance anxiety and greater resilience when facing setbacks. This doesn't create negative outcomes, but rather reduces the energetic charge around specific results, precisely what transurfing prescribes for balancing excess potential. Another effective technique is practicing what Zeland calls the observer state, watching your reactions to importance with detached awareness. Mindfulness studies confirm this approach, showing that metacognitive observation reduces emotional reactivity by creating a gap between stimulus and response. One study demonstrated that practitioners who labeled emotions during triggering events showed 43% less amygdala activation, confirming the neurological basis for transurfing's observer technique. Humor represents one of the most powerful tools for importance reduction. When we can laugh at our excessive attachment to outcomes, we instantly reduce their energetic charge. Research in psychoneuroimmunology shows that humor literally transforms our biochemistry, reducing stress hormones while increasing immune function and cognitive flexibility, creating the precise internal state that transurfing recommends for manifestation. Studies on humor's cognitive effects reveal why it's so effective for importance reduction. Humor requires perspective shifting, seeing situations from multiple angles simultaneously, which directly counteracts the tunnel vision created by excessive importance. Research shows that exposure to humorous stimuli increases cognitive flexibility scores by 20% and enhances problem-solving abilities, explaining why laughter literally disrupts rigid importance structures. The application is straightforward. When you notice yourself assigning excessive importance to outcomes, find genuine humor in your intensity. Not cruel self-mockery, but gentle recognition of the cosmic absurdity in your life-or-death attachment to inherently uncertain results. This perspective shift doesn't diminish goals, but rather releases the counterproductive energy blocking their manifestation, exactly the balanced approach transurfing advocates. Relationship dynamics provide a fascinating laboratory for observing importance imbalances. When one partner places excessive importance on the relationship while the other maintains balance, the resulting excess potential creates predictable patterns. The overinvested partner clings while the less invested partner withdraws, creating a self-reinforcing cycle that damages connection despite genuine affection on both sides. Attachment research confirms this dynamic. Studies show that anxious attachment behaviors, high importance, trigger avoidant responses in partners, while secure attachment, balanced importance, fosters mutual engagement. One longitudinal study found that relationships with matched importance levels, regardless of whether both partners were highly invested or moderately invested, reported 62% higher satisfaction than those with importance disparities. Transurfing offers a counterintuitive solution. The partner placing excessive importance must unilaterally reduce it without demanding reciprocal change. Research on relationship intervention confirms this approach, finding that when anxiously attached individuals reduced validation-seeking behaviors without partner-focused demands, relationship satisfaction increased by 40% within 6 weeks. This demonstrates how importance reduction by even one party can rebalance entire relational systems. Career contexts offer perhaps the most challenging arena for importance balancing. Society explicitly encourages high importance placement on professional success, yet this creates precisely the excess potential that impedes achievement. Research on workplace performance shows that outcome-focused employees demonstrate 17% lower creativity and adaptability than process-focused peers, despite often working longer hours. Empirical validation of transurfing's importance paradox. The solution isn't reduced ambition, but rather transformed relationship with outcomes. Studies of high-achieving individuals across fields reveal a common psychological pattern: intense engagement with process combined with philosophical detachment from specific results. Nobel laureates frequently report that their breakthrough work happened during periods of curiosity-driven exploration rather than pressure-filled goal pursuit, precisely the balanced importance state transurfing advocates. A practical application involves what psychologists call temporal distancing, mentally projecting yourself forward in time to gain perspective on current concerns. Research shows this technique reduces importance-related anxiety by 34% while preserving motivation. By imagining how today's critical concerns will appear 5 years hence, excess potential naturally diminishes without sacrificing genuine commitment to meaningful pursuits. Let's consolidate what we've explored about importance and excess potential. First, the paradox of importance creates a genuine manifestation obstacle. The more desperately we want something, the more we energetically repel it. Research on ironic mental processes, performance anxiety, and flow states consistently validates this counterintuitive principle, demonstrating the scientific foundation beneath Zelens's metaphorical framework. Second, importance reduction doesn't mean abandoning goals or practicing apathy. It means transforming your relationship with outcomes while maintaining committed action. This nuanced distinction explains why some practitioners misinterpret transurfing as passivity when it actually prescribes engaged detachment. Care deeply about your direction while releasing grip on specific manifestations along the path. Finally, practical techniques like the alternatives method, observer state, humor cultivation, and temporal distancing offer specific paths to importance reduction. These approaches create the precise psychological conditions for manifestation by balancing excess potential, allowing energy to flow naturally toward desired outcomes rather than creating the resistance that blocks achievement. The counterintuitive secret at the heart of transurfing's manifestation model. In our next episode, we'll explore practical applications of transurfing principles in daily life. We'll examine research-backed techniques for visualization, intention setting, and environmental design that translate these concepts into tangible results across relationships, career, health, and personal fulfillment, showing how these principles create measurable change in everyday experience. Thank you for joining us in exploring the paradox of importance and excess potential. Remember that reducing importance doesn't diminish your commitment, but rather transforms your relationship with outcomes, creating the precise energetic conditions for manifestation. Until next time, practice noticing where you might be creating resistance through overattachment and experiment with releasing that grip while maintaining directed action.